you'll be with me at the end.
I will, my son.
The warden.
Well, Kosler, good news for you.
They've proved my innocence.
Afraid not. But in view of your past services to the nation, the king has seen fit to set aside the sentence of death passed on you for treason.
And instead?
You remain in prison for the rest of your natural life.
All my life. And I'm innocent. I'm innocent.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, you've just won £375. Now, do you want to continue with the quiz or take the money?
Thank you very much. I'll take the money.
All right. Well, do you mind telling us what you plan to do with it? Anything special?
Something very special indeed.
Or would you care to tell us about it, Miss Koslow?
I'd rather not, if you don't mind. It's something rather private. But when it's done, I shall want everyone to know about it.
Well, here you are, and congratulations.
I could never have made enough money from my job, so I've been going in for these quiz contests. And now I've won this prize, I can afford to pay for an investigation. Mr. Chan, will you accept the assignment? Will you go back into the past and prove that my father, James Koslow, was not guilty of treason against his country?
James Koslow, the poet?
Yes, the poet. Former poet, I should say. He hasn't written a line since they put him away. Do you know him?
Not personally. But I recall some 15 years ago reading with great regret of his conviction.
Will you handle the investigation for me, Mr. Chan?
Suppose an investigation should prove that your father was guilty.
No, Mr. Chan. I was 5 years old when they tried my father. They sentenced him to death. Did you know that? Then they decided to lock him up for life instead. But I've always known he was innocent. Just known it.
In that case, Miss Koslow, I shall examine the transcript of the trial. I have a very good friend at Scotland Yard named Inspector Duff.
Thank you, Mr. Chan.
You'll find the evidence pretty conclusive, Charlie.
Well, that is to be expected since Koslow was convicted on the same.
Well, why trouble to wade through it all?
Have started with hopes client is innocent, therefore must consider possibility of perjured witnesses.
Most of the evidence came from members of his own security unit. Why should they want to swear his life away?
Possibly to preserve his or her own, maybe.
Oh, they were all solid types, specially chosen for their reliability.
I must point out that Mr. Koslow was chosen for the same reason.
Oh, well, I suppose I should know better than to start arguing with you when you're on the warpath, Charlie. Here. Have a look at this.
Wormwood and Roses by James Koslow.
Yes. And that piece of paper is in code.
Uh-huh.
That's how he got the information out of the country.
And very simple code, too. I presume first number refers to page, second number to line, and third to word in that line.
But the big point is, the experts proved that it was typed on Koslow's typewriter. And the whole shooting match was found in his desk.
But, Inspector, this still does not prove that Mr. Koslow was not framed.
Now what?
I intend to visit Sir Aubrey Talbot. Understand from records he was commanding officer of security unit in which Mr. Koslow worked.
Flying a bit high, aren't you, Charlie? He's a pretty big shot these days.
Yes, I've read in morning newspapers he was being considered for important position of permanent undersecretary for foreign affairs.
Exactly. I don't think he's going to be particularly keen to waste time on something that happened 15 years ago.
Have always believed in philosophy. Nothing accomplished if nothing endeavored.
See you later, Charlie.
I shall return this later.
Come in.
Ah, Mr. Chan. This is indeed a pleasure.
I'm so glad you could find time to see me, Sir Aubrey.
But naturally I should find time. Anything I can do to help James Coslow, I'll do. Sit down, won't you?
Thank you.
Now then, Mr. Chan, what can I do for you?
Well, I'm not yet quite sure. But to start, perhaps you could tell me what was the function of the security unit you commanded during the war?
Of course. We were concerned chiefly with security on our heavy water experiments.
And where was this important unit located or stationed?
Benham House, not very far from London, a large country house that had been taken over by the government.
I see. And you realized for some time that there was leakage in security from your unit?
Yes. It was a bad business. All my people were hand-picked, and I couldn't believe that one of them was a traitor. But it was so. Our data was getting to the Germans almost before we processed the material.
And when it was found that James Coslow was responsible, were you surprised?
Mr. Chan, I was stunned. I couldn't believe it. He was my close friend.
And yet evidence against him convinced you.
Yes, I'm afraid it did.
But now you are willing to help him.
If there's anything I can do, yes. 15 years is a long time to hold bitterness, and it's a long time for a man like James Coslow to be shut away from life.
Most admirable sentiments, Sir Aubrey. Now, perhaps you would have a list of persons who worked with you in unit during the war.
I thought you'd want something of the kind. Well, here it is.
Oh.
I had that prepared when you phoned and told me why you were coming to see me.
Very many thanks. Also, congratulations for your foresight.
You'll find them all there. Maxwell Duggan, you'll find him on the list, still works with me here in the ministry.
I see. Now, one last question. Tell me, what has happened to Benham House?
Oh, it's still empty. It hasn't been used since we were there.
I see. Then I could hope to find it in roughly same condition as it was at that time?
I imagine so. It was a bit of a white elephant after the war. Too large for a residence, not very saleable.
Now I'm wondering if it would be possible for you to arrange interview for me with the existing members of your security unit in former surroundings of Benham House.
Well, I see no reason why not. Myself included, of course.
If you please.
Then I'll see what I can do.
I must express grateful thanks to all of you for coming here to meet humble self.
Well, to be quite candid, it was more to oblige Sir Aubrey than you, Mr. Chan. None of us can see the point of digging up the past in this way.
Well, whatever the reason, I am most grateful for your presence. Miss Mohr, I understand you are Mr. Coslow's secretary, were you not?
I was, yes.
Would you point out which desk was his, please?
That one. James, Mr. Coslow always liked to have his desk where he could see outside. A bit of green, the color of a flower, a patch of sky. He thought they were important.
And you did not think so?
My outlook on life is a good deal more practical than Mr. Coslow's ever was, Mr. Chan.
I see. You are very much in love with Mr. Coslow, were you not?
Who said so?
I have information and reports here on all of you. And on yours, it states you are in love with Mr. Coslow.
All right. I did love him for a time. But I don't see what it has to do with your problem.
What about Mr. Coslow?
He hadn't the slightest interest in me.
I see. I deeply regret if my questions have caused you embarrassment, Miss Murdoch.
Good gracious. The whole thing happened years ago. I'd forgotten the man existed.
Thank you. And now, Mr. Maxwell Duggan?
Yes. I hope this entertainment won't take long. I'm a busy man, Mr. Chan.
Please, Max, for my sake, remember Coslow was my friend.
I shall endeavor to question Mr. Duggan expeditiously. What was your opinion of Mr. Coslow's guilt?
If those reports are as complete as you say, you ought to know it was I who denounced him. And of course he was guilty.
Why are you so certain?
Well, we all knew there'd been a security leak. I suspected Coslow right from the start.
Why, please?
Well, a poet, an intellectual. Isn't that the type that usually goes in for treason? Anyway, I suspected him, had him watched, and found the evidence.
And the evidence that convicted Mr. Coslow, did you think this was valid?
Positive. I found the code and the book in a secret compartment of his desk. The code had been typed on his typewriter. Well, what more could you ask?
It has been known for purely circumstantial evidence to hang an innocent man. But thank you, Mr. Duggan. Now, Mr. Cecil Barrows?
Yes, me. I hope you're not going to keep me too long, either. I'm dying for a drink.
Still drinking, Barrows. What a waste of your talents.
Yes, Sir Aubrey, still drinking. Although nobody seems to want to employ what you describe as my talent. But never mind, we manage. What can I do for you, Mr. Chen?
I would appreciate your opinion of James Karloff.
I liked him. He was intelligent and he knew his job. More than I can say for some members of the unit.
Thanks, Barrows. Just as outspoken as ever, I see.
And still the same funny little habits. For instance, that picture. It's crooked. I never could stand to see a crooked picture.
Look out, Mr. Chen. You did it on purpose. You knew the wire was rusted.
I assure you I did not.
The sudden way you did it, reaching up like that when Mr. Chen was standing
The
there.
picture was crooked. I just hate crooked pictures. Ask Duggan.
Perhaps falling of picture was accident, perhaps not. But main problem is still that of James Karloff. Now, I would like to ask you a further question, if I may.
Go ahead, but the falling picture was an accident. Repeat, an accident.
Very well. From the report on you, Mr. Barrows, I understand that when Mr. Karloff was arrested, you succeeded to his position.
Well, that's true, but if you're suggesting...
No, not suggesting anything. Merely trying to grope through the fog of the past to the truth. So, Aubrey, I understand you are about to be elevated to the high position of Undersecretary very soon.
That is so. In fact, the appointment will be announced next Monday.
Oh, congratulations. Now, one more question, please.
But of course.
I would be interested to know if you were present when Mr. Duggan found evidence against Mr. Karloff in his desk.
I wasn't. Mr. Duggan came to me at once before he removed the book from the secret compartment, and I was there when he took it out.
Thank you. I am most grateful to all of you for your time and attention. Now I feel that I know more about all of you.
Does that mean we can go?
Almost certainly.
Thank goodness for that. I'm parched.
Can't say I think you've achieved much, but you know best. Can I give you a lift, Miss Murdoch?
Why, thank you.
Well, what do you think?
Despite Mr. Duggan's opinion to the contrary, time has not been wasted.
Want me to show you the secret compartment?
Oh, no thanks. Think I can find same.
That's very clever of you.
Not too clever. This secret compartment is standard equipment in all desks of this type.
It is.
Yes, and now I begin to wonder why James Karloff was so foolish as to place evidence which could have cost him his life in such simple hiding place.
Yes, I've never thought of that. Well, you want me any longer?
Oh, no. No, Sir Aubrey, and most grateful for your valuable time.
Keep me informed. I have a real interest in this business, too, you know. Goodbye, my dear. And I do hope, sincerely...
Goodbye. Was it one of them, Mr. Chan?
Do not know yet.
I'm sure Barrows tried to kill you. That phony story about arranging pictures.
Well, strangely enough, I have known persons before who had this peculiar habit. Oh, typewriter. I wonder if the art of typing could be one of your accomplishments, my dear.
Strangely enough, yes. I was a typist before I went in for these quiz contests.
Well, that is most fortunate. But first, of course, we need paper, Ah. Old, dusty, and torn, however, will suffice. Please place same in machine.
What shall I type, Mr. Chan?
Why not let all men come to the aid of inquisitive Chinese detective?
Right.
Thank you.
What are you doing, Mr. Chan?
It is possible to detect whether a certain specimen of typing was done by a one-finger typist or a trained person.
Oh, how?
A one-finger typist varies the pressure made by type on paper, whereas trained typist, using all fingers, has even, smooth pressure. Code sheet used in evidence against your father was done by trained typist.
The secretary. Miss Murdoch. She was in love with my father, and he wasn't in the slightest bit interested in her. Could it be a sort of revenge?
Maybe yes, maybe no.
But, Mr. Chan, hardly any men are trained typists. It must have been her.
Not necessarily. Writers, columnists, journalists, sometimes even poets, train themselves to use all fingers. Tell me, Linda, do you remember how your father worked, with one finger or with all fingers?
I don't know.
Then humble self must convince himself on this matter before he proceeds further.
It was kind of Aubrey to arrange this interview. Normally, I'm not allowed to be alone with any visitor, not even my daughter.
Sir Aubrey has been most helpful.
I hope this doesn't sound ungrateful, Mr. Chan. Aubrey told me what you were trying to do, but isn't it all rather hopeless?
Only hopeless if you were guilty. Were you?
Does it matter anymore? Does anyone care?
Oh, yes. Your daughter Linda cares very much.
Yes, poor child.
Now, will you answer question, please?
I'm innocent, Mr. Chan. I never understood the charges against me or my conviction.
I'm so glad to hear that. Now I have one more, but apparently irrelevant question.
Yes.
I believe you worked on typewriter when you wrote your brilliant poems, did you not?
Yes, I did.
Did you use one finger or all finger system like trained touch typists do?
Why, I never learnt to type. I just pecked at the machine with one finger, or two maybe.
Very happy answer. Now I have an idea as to where to go from here. Thank you very much, Mr. Karloff. And please, try not to worry.
It's nice to see you. And what can I do for you today?
Again, Sir Aubrey, I humbly request some information.
Well, then sit down and go ahead and ask.
Thank you. I have spent the entire morning at the War Ministry examining old Nazi material.
But the old files?
Exactly. With special reference to the section devoted to the secret leaders chosen for the various occupied countries.
But has that any bearing on the Karloff case?
I firmly believe so. But unfortunately, the material I seek to examine seems to be missing.
And you want me to help, is that it?
If you please.
Well, what is the particular material you want to see?
The document relating to the man chosen to govern Britain after the invasion. In other words, the British Quisling.
Those papers never fell into our hands, Mr. Chan, so we never knew who the man was the Germans had chosen.
Then he may be in England today, alive and free.
He probably is.
Strange that the names of men who were to play Quisling in all other countries were found, but not the one in England.
Yes, but that is so. So I'm afraid I can't help you, Mr. Chan.
Nevertheless, Sir Aubrey, I am most grateful for your willingness to try. Oh, I'm sure you will be happy to know that an opinion of humble self, James Karloff, is innocent of treason.
Splendid. And can you prove it?
Well, I will try. Good day. Most perfect. Almost convinces humble self.
But what are you going to do with it? How will it help?
With assistance of charming ex-stenographer, I am going to forge highly secret and confidential document.
Oh, see.
Now, please, insert paper in typewriter.
Oh, it's a German machine.
Since highly secret document is supposed to have come from Nazi headquarters, that is correct.
Nazi headquarters?
Fortunately, you speak German. Otherwise, I would have to spell out each word, letter by letter, in this interesting report you are about to type. Now, put the date. 17th October, 1939. Well, very nice, Linda.
They all said they'd come. Not straight away. I had quite a bit of difficulty persuading Mr. Duggan, but I made it.
Well, perhaps vintage champagne will soothe his feelings.
But why, Mr. Chan? I'm longing to know what you're going to do.
Oh, but remember surprise, like small Christmas gift?
Sorry, but I feel rather keyed up.
If hunch of ancient Chinese sleuth is correct, tonight could prove your father's innocence.
Oh, Mr. Chan, if only it would. How wonderful it would be. Oh, there's the door. They must be here.
Please admit suspects. Well, good evening.
How do you do, Mr. Chan?
Good evening, Mr. Chan.
I am most happy you all consented to take part in my little experiment tonight.
Frankly, it is a bit theatrical, Mr. Chan, but
You know best, I'm sure.
If you ask me, it's more than theatrical. It's plain ridiculous. What's it all for?
I shall endeavor to explain after champagne is poured. Mr. Barrows, would you do the honors, please?
I'm not the sort of person I'd choose to put in charge of anything alcoholic.
But I am not asking you to choose, Mr. Duggan. I'm sure, however, Mr. Barrows will give you a fair share. Now, Miss Murdoch, would you be so kind as to serve the food?
Oh, why, certainly. But I must admit I wasn't expecting a champagne party, Mr. Chan. What's it in aid of?
Let us call it celebration party, or better still, vindication party.
Vindication party? A vindication of what? Or whom?
James Karloff. Now, Mr. Duggan, would you please pass me the dispatch case? Thank you.
Oh, what's that stuff? German papers of some sort, aren't they?
Correct. In point of fact, the German plans for subjugation of Britain after the invasion.
Mr. Chan, you really do surprise me.
How so?
You had no right to remove them from the War Ministry. You realize the blame for your action would fall upon me.
Please do not disturb yourself, Sir Aubrey. These are not the property of your ministry.
Not? Then where the devil did you find them?
They are duplicate copies procured at great expense from military headquarters in occupied Germany. The search there also revealed fact that important copy of another document is missing from your War Ministry files. This document contained the name of the English Quisling to be. Vital German papers now in flames.
Oh, traitor. I saw you smash that lamp.
It was you. You're afraid to have that paper read out because you knew your name would be smeared, you quisling.
Did any of you see which gentleman threw the papers in the fire?
I'm afraid I didn't. It was all so quick.
I saw the lamp fall and the two of them fighting together, but, I couldn't say which one of them it was.
I can't be certain it all happened in such a flash.
One of you, but which one?
My dear Chan, you surely don't imagine that a man of my proved integrity, a member of Her Majesty's government. But I've often wondered about you, Duggan. You with that so often expressed patriotism of yours, that exaggerated love of England. Of course, it was all false.
You miserable traitor. To think that I trusted you and respected you. It was your consuming vanity, wasn't it? You thought of yourself as a sort of king. And for that, you'd be willing to sell out your country.
Look here, Duggan.
Gentlemen, no longer need for fisticuffs or argument. Identity of would-be Quisling is now very apparent.
You've read those documents?
No.
Then
Must apologize for small trick. Burned documents are false.
Then how did you know?
Burned documents narrowed number of suspects to 2. The report supplied by you yourself, Sir Aubrey, indicated that you were formerly foreign correspondent. Most journalists use touch system for reasons of more speed. The copy of the document which convicted Mr. Karloff was done by touch typist. Report shows Mr. Duggan did not type at all. So suspects are no longer 2, just 1. Stand still, Sir Aubrey. Seems we have killed 2 birds with 1 stone. Sir Aubrey, you are the Quisling and traitor to your country. You also framed James Karloff, your friend, to keep suspicion from yourself. Miss Linder, suggest you rush to nearest telephone. Have Inspector Duff of Scotland Yard come here immediately.
you can have no idea, Mr. Chan, how wonderful it feels to be free again. How can I ever thank you?
But I am most grateful to have had small part in ensuring for posterity more brilliant poems by James Karloff.
We shall always be in your debt, Mr. Chan. But at least let me know what your fee is.
Oh, not necessary.
But, Mr. Chan...
Please. Perhaps you can use part of money to purchase a new typewriter for your father. I also have small gift for you, Mr. Karloff. Wormwood and roses. And cold sheet which took your freedom away but also helped to bring it back. Now, much happiness to both of you.